Welcome, Scorpio, to the month of December 2018. I'm Megan of North Star Astrology, and this is another general transits reading for those of you born with your sun, moon, and rising signs in the fixed water sign of Scorpio the Scorpion, ruled by Pluto, and your ruling planet Pluto has been transiting your third house of communications. So let's begin. And to start with, the month starts out December 1st with Mercury retrograde in your second house of money and what you value, retrograding back into your sign, Scorpio, going into the first house of the self and body, which would then probably produce incongruent body language if you weren't trying to express something or communicate in a way that you were not trying to convey. However, this is going to change. It will be our last retrograde of the year, and we'll be going direct on December 6th. Okay, so subsequently on the very same day, Mercury retrograde sextiles or makes the short but sweet 60-degree positive aspect to the moon in Virgo in your 11th house of friendships, hopes, goals, and wishes. So with this then, even with a retrograde Mercury, you will be emotionally satisfied with your goals and or whatever friendship activities you may have going on at this time. Then on December 2nd, Venus, which has been in its ruling position since Venus rules Libra, Venus now enters your sign, leaving your 12th house of the subconscious mind and dreams, entering your first of the self and body. So this is a time where you may become self-indulgent, or many people will start to love you, yourself, as you, and or you will become more greater and even more greater or greatly, attractive, physically attractive, and maybe even emotionally attractive to people in general. And then on December 3rd, Uranus, which has been transiting your 6th house of health and work in Aries, the fire sign of Aries, opposes the moon. Once the moon goes into your the moon goes into your 12th house of the subconscious mind, and then opposes Uranus in your 6th house. So from the 6th to the 12th houses, this opposition brings awareness to your needing to be more secluded or reclusive at this time versus always being out there in the workforce. In other words, this will give you that time to balance your emotional needs versus your work load or whatever might occur. Then on December 5th, Mercury conjuncts the moon. Once the moon enters your sign, once the moon enters Scorpio, it'll conjunct the retrograde Mercury in your first house of the self and body. And this then will give you even more of an emotional need to express yourself, but just be mindful that you don't become emotionally or mentally possessive in any sense, because that can turn on you in some way. You know what I mean? It's like what goes around comes around. So be careful that you aren't too overly protective or possessive, if that makes sense. And then December 6th, like I said, Mercury in Scorpio goes direct. So get out of here, retrograde. And then on December 7th at 7:22, the new moon occurs in your second house of money, in Sagittarius. And I love it when the moon was in your sign, as well as when it enters Sagittarius, because it brings such an interesting intensity or passion for life. When it was in your sign, it brought that passion. And now that Mercury's direct, it will give you the mental capacity to communicate with such intensity, but it's going to be a beautiful intensity for you. However, once it moves then into the new moon phase, into the sign of Sagittarius, I love it when the moon is in Sagittarius. There is so much joy that is abound. It's like, woo, wee, and it's that time of year, However, it's almost like that for me. I experience that moon in Sagittarius as such a freedom-loving, free-flowing, emotional expression. And so when the new moon occurs at 15 degrees Sagittarius, 7 minutes in your second house of money and what you value, along with the sun and Jupiter rules Sagittarius, in your second house, all of this new phase helps you develop a new understanding of your values intrinsically to your soul, and brings you, not that I believe in luck, but it brings you a great sense of abundance. And that's going to be very good for you. Then on December 8th, Uranus in Aries trines the building new moon, as the new moon is still making its way out of, or building toward, the first quarter moon. And this then is a very harmonious fire to fire energy, giving you an emotional sense a very positively harmonious emotional sense that things will suddenly turn out right within the workplace. And so that's very good. And then on December 10th, Uranus then proceeds to square the moon. Once the moon enters the serious and sometimes overly serious sign of Capricorn in your third, so from your third house to your sixth houses, now we have this sort of tension between your emotions and things that occur concerning your health and well-being and work. And so this then is a challenge to your everyday, day-to-day communication as it deals with the conscious mind and short-distance travels versus your work environment. Then on December 12th, Mercury moves out of your sign and moves into the sign of Sagittarius, also into your second house of money. And then on December 13th, Uranus sextiles the moon. So the moon going into your fourth house of the home, into the sign of Aquarius, positively sextiles Uranus in Aries. So from your fourth to your sixth, this then gives you the positive feeling that your home life is fulfilling you in some way. And isn't this unique? Is not this unique? Aquarius rules your fourth house of the home, and Uranus rules Aquarius, and it just so happens to be posited or positioned in your sixth house. So there is an interesting ability to perhaps work from home and express those unique abilities emotionally regarding work, whatever it is that you do for work. Then on December 15th at 11:50, the first quarter moon occurs in your fifth house of romance and creativity in the sign of Pisces at 23 degrees Pisces. So sort of right here, sort of toward the tail end of the fifth house, 23 degrees Pisces, 27 minutes. And this then brings you, or goes along with Mars and Neptune here also, brings you sort of an altruistic way to emotionally connect romantically and or creatively, and even perhaps attract a much spiritual romantic partner if that is your wish. And then on December 15th as well, the sun squares the first quarter phase moon. So from your second to your fifth, now the sun is challenging how you feel about what you value in terms of what I just got through saying. And that will be a bit of a eye-opener, similar to the opposition, as in the fact that it will bring some sort of awareness to you. Then on December 18th at 7:22, Uranus then conjuncts the moon in Aries, the fire sign of Aries, in your 6th house. And once again, you will feel a great emotional, perhaps sudden inspiration. This is what I see this happening for you. Some sudden emotional inspiring idea within the workplace, or possibly concerning your health. Like maybe you'll decide you want to take up a new exercise regime. Then on December 20th at 0 hours 43 minutes, Mars in Pisces sextiles the moon in Taurus in your 7th house of others, the house of others versus the house of the self. So now Mars in Pisces in the 5th house of romance and creativity positively sextiles the moon and the grounded moon in Taurus, your opposite sun sign, and brings you a very pleasant interaction. Perhaps maybe you'll be proposed to or ask someone to marry you. Then on December 21st, the sun leaves Sagittarius and leaves the 2nd house of money and enters the sign of Capricorn into your 3rd house of communications. And things become a bit more serious. Then, on December 22nd, Uranus sextiles the moon. Once the moon enters your 8th house into the sign of Gemini. And now, this brings you the ability to positively, emotionally attract, maybe through the law of attraction, some kind of financial, as this deals with others as resources, support, as in a raise or benefits through something you do in the way of service. Then also on December 22nd, the full moon occurs in your 9th house of law and higher education at 0 hours 49 minutes in Cancer. Just opposite the sun in Capricorn. And this then will illuminate the need to perhaps philosophize more, as this is also the house of religion and philosophy. You may get on a bit of a soapbox. I've known some people with a lot of Scorpion influence that do that. And there's nothing wrong with that, as my moon is in the 9th house natally. And I love to not necessarily get on a soapbox, but I love to philosophize. I love to share subjects on philosophy. And who doesn't? I think it's a beautiful, deep subject. And then on December 24th, Christmas Eve, Uranus squares the waning full moon. So this then brings you the emotional impetus to create something intrinsically and uniquely you, something from your vantage point that is unique and will inspire others in the workplace. You know, like a new project taken on that benefits others. Then on, oh, and Merry Christmas, by the way, as there are no aspects on Christmas Day. Here's my little Christmas angel on standing on earth as you are here. And then on December 26th at 15 hours 38 minutes, Uranus trines the moon. Once the moon enters the 10th house of career and public standing, and it's also the house of the ego. So here then, you also have to be mindful of bringing too much of your ego into play in the career sector, as Leo rules this house of yours when you have Scorpio rising. However, because of this harmonious trine from your 10th house to your 6th house, trining the planet Uranus, also in a fire sign, so from fire to fire, you now have the ability to harmoniously, emotionally connect with colleagues and or those in authority in a much harmonious way. And that's going to be very helpful in the long run for everyone concerned, but especially you. And then on December 28th at 16 hours 28 minutes, the planet Mars in Pisces opposes the moon in Virgo once the moon enters your 11th house of friendships, hopes, goals, and wishes, and makes this very I want to say interesting point of awareness, as I always say, to the sense that you will need more emotional awareness toward what it is or how it is that you give and or receive in within friendships as well as romantic partners, and the awareness of whether or not you are giving too much, so to speak. Then on December 29th at 9:35, the last quarter moon occurs in your 12th house of the subconscious mind in Libra at 7 degrees Libra, 36 minutes. And this then brings the month to a quiet close and enables you to take things a bit more calmly, or in a more, I'm trying to think of the right term. You're just going to be able to rest more, or perhaps just go within, and this will bring you the emotional balance your subconscious mind needs at this time. Then the final day of December 30th at 22 hours 55 minutes, Uranus opposes the moon once the moon enters pretty much full circle, pretty much, into your sign, Scorpio, And this, wait a minute, Uranus, let's see, wait, I was wrong, my bad, wait, okay, the moon is still in its last quarter, I guess, oh boy, okay, this last aspect of the month, oops, closes out the month, as again I've mentioned just a moment ago. It's getting so hot in here because I can't have the window open with all the smoke out there. Okay, the emotional need to go within in a balanced sense. This brings you that awareness. As I always like to say, the awareness point. That's what the opposition is for. Those without oppositions don't see it that way or can't see it that way. Anyway, this then is the opposition from the last quarter moon in Libra to its opposite sun sign of Aries in your 6th. So this then is what wraps up your reading. I hope you will have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And please feel free to like, give me a thumbs up, comment down below, and or feel free to subscribe. And thanks again. I apologize if this is coming out late, but I've been so exhausted and worried beyond belief about these fires as I live not too far from all of this smoke. And oh, you wouldn't believe just how smoky it is out my high-rise window. And I cannot have the window open. So anyway, yeah, it's just gonna, so hot in here. Anyway, thank you so very much. And I appreciate the fact that you took your valuable time out to watch this reading. And once again, I apologize for that mistake. Okay, so thank you once again, and I hope you have a very merry and peaceful Christmas.